Hey guys, welcome to the Last Step podcast. Before we get started, today's podcast is sponsored by HepCam Labs. Go onto their website at hepcamlabs.com.au to get 10% off all products. Just use the promo code LSP. And of course, guys, if you want to support the podcast, go over to buymeacoffee.com/The Last Step podcast. All donations are much appreciated.
Alrighty, let's get into it. So, Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul. Fucking wacky fight. Fucking wacky. I don't think anyone was really like that excited about the results, or even just the fight in itself, because it was a bit weird. I think Tyron Woodley, we already knew he was a very gun shy. Like Dana White says, he's like probably one of the most gun shy fighters out there. You know, he struggles to pull the trigger. And I just thought before the podcast, the previous podcast, I predicted Tyron would beat him if the right Tyron turned up. The right Tyron will walk through Jake. And we saw like little bits where, you know, in that round 4, round 5 round, you see, you know, rocks Jake fucking badly. Almost sends him through the ropes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, similar to a Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards, has the kill shot and doesn't take it.
I was surprised it was just taunting with him like that. He was just swinging his hands around. You know, he wasn't finishing him off. He could have finished him off right then and there.
He's just been too efficient with his energy.
Well, two things. One, I know for a fact, Dylan Dennis couldn't wait to post about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did you see what he put out before the fight?
Nah, I'm not sure if he was there, if he took, or a fan sent him a picture of it, but he said, oh, look, sold out crowd, there's no one in fucking attendance. But it was before the fight had even started.
Yeah. He also said, if Jake Paul's win, I will give $1,000 to whoever likes this. And then I went on to Twitter and there's heaps of people putting their bank details in, saying, where's my money, bitch? Which I thought was hilarious. But then again, he couldn't wait to post that. I'm fairly sure he posted that before the fight was even over as well.
No, he posted that days ago.
No, I think he couldn't wait to post the whole picture of Jake when he was up against the ropes.
Oh, yes.
So that was the first thing. Second thing, I honestly thought that was a 10-8 round because that was a 10... They scored it 10-9. I'm like, wait, hold on. It wasn't a complete knockdown, but if the ropes weren't there and did it in the middle of the canvas, absolutely, Jake would have been
sent out.
Yeah, would have been sent out or something like that. And the judges scored it a 10-9 round, and I was like, what? That's ridiculous. That was clearly maybe... And... the judges were all 10-9 Jake, 10-9 Jake, 10-9 Jake, and then 10-8. So 10-9 Tyron, even though that was the main round where a lot of the action went down. And there were some moments in the fight where Tyron Woodley was definitely throwing some big shots. He had... one thing I noticed on the statistics that he actually threw more power shots than he did jabs.
Yeah, he was trying to take him out there. He was headhunting a bit too much. Like, he's quite efficient with his energy. For being such a big guy, he does have good cardio, but... Yeah. Even when you're like that big and you got that much, like a good cardio base, you still have to be efficient with your energy. It's still going to be hard. It's just conditioning has to be there first of all, but then you have to be really efficient with it to start off with. And he was just being too cautious and he wasn't pulling the trigger when he should have. I felt like maybe if he was popping out the jab a little bit more, some of his shots started to become a bit telegraphed, especially with that right hand. And he's had criticism in the past of, you know, you're just arrested with a right overhand. But his jab is good. He should have utilized it a little bit more. And I think what Jake was a bit smart in that he wasn't making a dogfight. He was making a boxing match. So whenever he did close the distance and connect, as soon as he'd hit him with the right hand, he'd then come in for the clinch. I think Tyron maybe should have, rather than welcomed the clinch, and tried to bully him in the clinch and move him around, because that's not going to get you points like it will in MMA in terms of, like, you know, octagon control against the fence. That doesn't score you anything in boxing. No. So I think for Tyron, he should have, if Jake wants to close that distance, fine, let him, because that's what Tyron was trying to do the entire time. Tyron was the one trying to close the distance because of the reach and height advantage. He should have just fucking smacked him on the way in. Yeah. Just right uppercut down the line. Boom.
I feel like he shouldn't just throw in a few more. I think he could just throw in a few more combinations, really, rather than just trying to hit that one shot.
Yeah, singular shots. Maybe combinations would have helped a lot.
not even that, but like I gotta admit though, Jake's boxing's come a long way since when he first fought Deji. I mean, I was
100%.
impressed. He had better footwork. He was using his jab. He was using his body shots a lot more. He would also he was constantly moving around the canvas as well. I was impressed by, he covered a lot of distance as well, and he threw a lot of jabs. He was really, really using his jab, and he was using different variations to his punches, pin jabs, vertical, that feint where the feint jab and then feint to the head and then feint to the body, back to the head. It was just, there was a lot of skill. It was a bigger skill set that he had that actually had me like, oh my God, this guy's actually more efficient. And I was actually impressed. Now, in terms of the decision, do I agree with the decision? Yes, to some extent, because I do believe that he won that. However, I still feel like the judges were a little bit unfair scoring towards Tyron.
I think it was a draw.
Oh, really?
I think it was a draw.
You reckon it was a draw?
I think it was a draw.
What's your argument for a draw?
Because of the possible 10-8 plus, Woodley, like, you can say, oh, Jake was throwing these power shots, but if it hits the glove, it's not anything,
Mm-hmm.
Those definitely those first 3 rounds, you have to give it to Paul. Those first 3,
Yeah, because Tyron was doing almost nothing in those first 3
yeah, and but then you could see Paul slowed down a lot. The footwork that he's trying to use. He's never been to those later rounds before. It's really taxing on your system. And then when Tyron started to turn it up a little bit, put you on the back foot, it's fucking terrible for your gas tank. No, Tyron, especially in that round 4. And then I believe after round 4, he got another 3 rounds after that. You can give one of those rounds from 5 till 8 to Jake, but I honestly think it was 4 to 4. Honestly, I think it was 4-4. You could either, if you want to argue 5-3 to Jake, you could maybe, but then you have to also argue the 10-8.
Yeah,
which would have evened it out.
Yeah.
So, regardless, there's two options on the table that would have resulted in a draw, which I think I would have been happy with. So I think it was a draw. Honestly, yeah, I think on points. You could make the argument. My point is that you can make the argument that Jake might have, you won by split decision, in terms of, well, he did, but in terms of like unanimous scoring across like all of us, looking at the fight, that Jake might have just sneaked past Tyron. Or it's a draw in between them. But I'm certainly not saying Tyron won that fight. I don't think Tyron won that fight. I think he definitely landed the bigger shots, but boxing's the sweet science is about, actually like winning by points. I wouldn't say Tyron won that. I'd say, honestly, I really believed it was a draw. When it came to the decision, I kind of expected when they went split decision, I went, Jake's won this. I knew exactly that was going to happen, but I think, well, Tyron's got to get that tattoo and then they've got to fight again. I just thought it was real cheeky, and I was talking to my brother about this. I thought it was really cheeky that Jake put in a rematch clause in his contract. So if he lost to Tyron, he would use it, right, to get one back.
Yeah.
But when he when he beat Tyron by split decision, which isn't the best win, by the way. It's not the proudest way to win. When Tyron went up to him and went, let's fight again, let's do it again. And Jake was like, don't know. Don't think so. He's about to walk away with that win, right?
Yeah.
And then Tyron had to really push the buttons and be like, bet, I'll do that fucking tattoo. Let's get back in it. And then he had to put the pressure on Jake.
Yeah. Well, because he said that, and he was like, "No, I believe that won that fight. I got that knockdown." You know what I mean? But Tyron didn't believe that he won that either. I can tell that he was obviously pissed off. So I definitely see where the argument's definitely come through, and I do believe you've got an absolutely solid point about that. And I didn't believe that he took it that well. I mean, also I thought it was funny how Tyron didn't want to shake. What's his name? The coach of Jake Paul's hand. It was quite visible on the camera that he was undoing his glove, and then Jake Paul's coach showed up, say something off at his hand, and Tyron was just looking down at his gloves, trying to take his gloves off.
To be fair, the decision hasn't been read out yet. They have said some personal stuff his family's way. Is he really going to be that keen to talk to you when he's not even sure if he won that fight?
Yeah.
He says he did.
Yeah.
And maybe and most fighters do think they've won the fight.
Yeah.
As soon as the fighter probably doesn't think they're winning this fight, that's when it's not a good mindset to have when you're, especially just after those some close rounds like that. But I can understand that. Tyron doesn't want to chat with him. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know.
So is he gonna get the tattoo? Or it's just,
It
I want to
looks
sit
like
down.
it looks. I haven't seen it on social media yet, but I can imagine it will be on Jake Paul's story.
Man, I'm seeing all these memes, man. It's upsetting me. Not upsetting me, but all these memes where it's fucking like Star Wars and it's I think what's its name? Ben Askren is like talking to Tyron.
You were the chosen one?
You were the chosen one.
Did you actually notice that they messed up his nickname? They did the chosen one. They did double O instead of single O. And I was like, come on, boys. Come on, you guys went to school, didn't you?
Yeah, but I think one of the best things actually about the whole fight itself was Ariel Helwani.
Honestly, he's fucking good.
He's fucking good at his job.
He's really good, and he's always been he's been in the fight, like combat sports, like reporting game for a long period of time. He's just his nose has been in. He's been a bit of a sticky beak when it comes to getting his nose into people's business.
Yeah, but he was like out of the whole commentary and presenter team. He carried that. He carried that fight as well. Also because when we had the first Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley press conference, I don't know his name, but whoever they got to do that did a terrible job, an absolute terrible job. He was just slurring his speech and he had no emotion and he was just constantly reading out quotes that Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley said, and I was like, this is terrible. What the fuck? I mean, I felt like we could have done a better job than that. But then when Ariel Helwani did the whole sit-down thing, which I watched yesterday, I was like, fuck, Ariel did a really good job on just carrying the fight, being a good presenter. I honestly feel like he's done such a good job ever since he's left and parted ways with the UFC. Well, not parted ways, but at least like, you know, kind of like doing his own thing. He's got a higher role in terms of combat sports reporting and presenting. So good for you, Ariel.
I can't see this tattoo. I can't see on it. And if anyone's going to chuck it on social media, it's going to be Jake.
Yeah.
Jake did post something an hour ago. It's just pictures from the fight, and he says, "Who's next?"
Yeah.
Which, you know, implies that Tyron is not next, even though which is a bit weird because in the ring they fucking shook on it.
Yeah.
But then it's up to Tyron in order to get the tattoo because he
just get it in the tiniest possible font, like at the bottom of your toe or something like that.
Yeah. The only weird thing for me about the scoring, I mean, in terms of the outcome, I can see a split decision to Jake. Honestly, I really thought it was a draw. I thought it was, you know, I think you can definitely score a draw. But Jake getting a split decision win is not out of the realm of possibility. What I thought was weird, when I had a look on one of the scorecards, the guy scored the last 3 rounds to Paul, even though it was Woodley pushing all the action and things like that. So it's very weird how, it was very strange.
Mate, we've time and time again talked about this boxing scoring system.
Well, didn't you find it weird that the actually commentary team was saying, by the way, guys, there's a very inexperienced judges scoring this? And I'm like, why the fuck would you say that on air?
Yeah.
2, why the fuck do you have inexperienced judges? It sounds like almost you're like, well, expect a bad decision you might not like. That's dumb. That's stupid.
That's just ridiculous. That's just shooting yourself in the foot as well.
Yeah, but to be fair, boxing is different to the UFC and MMA in general, because MMA typically has, you turn up, you win, you get your bonus. If you don't get that bonus. So like in boxing, that's not the case. So I think we put a lot of more pressure on MMA judges because you essentially half that guy's paycheck, if not more, because maybe he might be 10-10, 20-20.
Pretty sure Jake Paul got $2 million on that fight just to show, and Tyron Woodley got $1 million.
Yeah.